There's a lot of reports coming out about the Euphrates River drying up, and there's a lot of predictions about what's under there. Because the Bible talks about God putting something underneath the Euphrates River for the latter times. And as we see, the Euphrates River is drying up just like prophecy said it would. But it hasn't completely dried up. You know, it's dried up in some regions, but obviously whatever's underneath there is still underneath there, because we would definitely know, because it immediately kills a third of mankind what's underneath that Euphrates River. It's very terrifying. So we're going to take a look at exactly what's under there. Let's say the prophecy of what's under there coming out, it's in the Old Testament and in the New Testament. In Revelation, we see it's at the sixth trumpet, and it's immediately following the bottomless pit opening up and smoke, making the entire planet dark, and all these locusts coming out and stinging people that are not marked by God, to the point where they are in extreme pain, and they just sit there in pain. And then the following trumpet, this happens. Then the sixth angel sounded, and I heard a voice from the four horns of the golden altar, which is before God, saying to the sixth angel who had the trumpet, "Release the four angels who are bound at the great river Euphrates." So the four angels who had been prepared for the hour and the day and the month and year were released to kill a third of mankind. Now the number of the army of the horsemen was 200 million, and I heard the number of them. And thus I saw the horses in the vision. Those who sat on them had breastplates of fiery red, hyacinth blue, and sulfur yellow. And the heads of the horses were like the heads of lions. Now their mouths came fire, smoke, and brimstone. By these three plagues, a third of mankind was killed by the fire and the smoke and the brimstone which came out of their mouths. Now, here's a lot of people misinterpret this because they think this is some sort of an army of man. This is not an army of men. What this is four angels who lead 200 million of whatever these things are. And we've seen these things in the Old Testament as well. Now, I did a video on this in the End of Time series. I'm going to put the link here. But we see these in Joel 2. "Blow the trumpet in Zion and sound an alarm in my holy mountain. Let all the inhabitants of the land tremble, for the day of the Lord is coming, for it is at hand. A day of darkness and gloominess, a day of clouds and thick darkness, like the morning clouds spread over the mountains. A people come, great and strong, the like of whom have never been, nor will there ever be any such after them, even for many successive generations." So what we're looking at here is this army of 200 million. And I kind of want to remind you that, you know, just because it says four angels, but it's 200 million. But remember when the man in the cave was, he said, "Well, what is your name?" And he said, "Our name is Legion." So, it's multiple. It's 200 million of these things. And of course, here we see in Joel, it's dark when they come as well. "A fire devours before them," just like it said in Revelation, "and behind them a flame burns." So it's saying it's like they're kind of like a fire just burns, everything like the fire coming out of their mouths. "The land is like the Garden of Eden before them, and behind them a desolate wilderness. Surely nothing shall escape them. Their appearance is like the appearance of horses, and like swift steeds so they run. With a noise like chariots over mountain tops they leap, like the noise of a flaming fire that devours the stubble, like a strong people set in battle array. Before them the people writhe in pain, all faces are drained of color." They're all in pain because they just got stung by these locusts. "They run like mighty men, they climb the wall like men of war. Everyone marches in formation, and they do not break ranks. They do not push one another. Everyone marches in his own column. When they lunge between the weapons, they are not cut down. They run to and fro in the city. They run on the wall. They climb into the houses. They enter at the windows like a thief. The earth quakes before them. The heavens tremble. The sun and moon grow dark, and the stars diminish their brightness. The Lord gives voice before his army, for his camp is very great. For strong is the one who executes his word. For the day of the Lord is great and very terrible. Who can endure it?" Early in Revelation, when the instruction was given to do this, it talks about where an angel came down and said, "No, wait. Wait till I mark everybody on their foreheads from God, who are of God. And we see that in Ezekiel 9. Then he called out in my hearing the loud voice, saying, let those who have charge over the city draw near, each with deadly weapons in his hand. And suddenly 6 men came from the direction of the upper gate, which faces north, each with a battle axe in his hand. One among them was clothed with linen and had a writer's inkhorn at his side. Then went in and stood beside the bronze altar. Now the glory of God of Israel had gone up from the cherub, where it had been, to the threshold of the temple, and he called to the man clothed with linen, who had the writer's inkhorn at his side. And the Lord said to him, go through the midst of the city, through the midst of Jerusalem, and put a mark on the foreheads of the men who sigh and cry over all the abominations that are done within it. In other words, mark the people who stand up for the things of God. To the others he said in my hearing, go after him through the city and kill. Do not let your eyes spare, nor have any pity. Utterly slay old and young men, maidens and little children and women. But do not come near anyone on whom is the mark, and begin at my sanctuary. So they begin with the elders who are before the temple. So it all starts in Jerusalem, is where all this begins. The Euphrates River dries up, and it all starts in Jerusalem. It just spreads to the entire planet. And this is ultimately what gathers all the armies of the world to the hills of Megiddo, is to battle against this thing that is coming out of the Euphrates River. And ultimately, when God marks your forehead, that's why the Antichrist desires to mark people with the mark of the beast, to be like God. But this is a mark that we don't put on. We don't voluntarily take this mark. We are marked by God because he knows our hearts. And he knows that we weep and wail for the things of God. As we see things being all over this world, we see tribulation taking place, we weep and wail for the things of God. And God knows that to be so, because he knows our hearts and he knows it's true, so he marks us and protects us from this 200 million army that comes from the Euphrates River. But the Euphrates River isn't dried up yet. It is drying up, and that is not a good sign for those who aren't of the remnant, that's for sure. But it is dry in some places, but clearly not dry in this particular place, wherever this may be. So anyhow, I hope this video helps open all this up for you. If you like this video, click like and subscribe. Feel called to support this channel with Patreon. That link is below. But the most important part of this channel is we take prayer requests. So please don't ever hesitate to send that in. Thank you for watching this episode of God, Family, and Guns. And as always, love God, love your family, and love guns.